Hello, everybody. Buddy Web, Midland, Texas. Going to do a video for you tonight talking about the latest news. A friend on Facebook just tagged me on this news story just come out today. And it's about break-in 911's where it was. It says authorities find 70 missing children in West Texas. Okay, and here I just copied and pasted one paragraph out of it. Operation Lost Souls ran from the end of April through mid-May in El Paso, Midland, and Ector and Tom Green counties. The missing youth, many of them runaways, ranged in age from 10 to 17. The children recovered included victims of sex trafficking and physical and sexual abuse. The majority of the children were located in West Texas, but some were located in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, as well as Colorado and Mexico. The agencies provided victim services and counseling to the recovered children and their families. And then I wrote, I found a child's toy in my attic one time, and I suspected that child sex trafficking was happening here in connection to the underground homes. This sounds like something Rosie Rodriguez, Detective Rosie Rodriguez, and the secret police would be involved in. I always suspected there was a financial reason those secret police were involved in covering up premeditated capital attempted murders and other violent crimes. How they continue to get away with it after it was proven is beyond me. But I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that, that's the main thing that secret police were doing was working with this, the people in the attic crime ring and all the crimes associated with that, which are, of course, burglary, theft, rapes, murders, and then it also believed sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, etc. It's basically organized crime and racketeering is what it is. And when you have corrupt police helping, then you can see the problem, and that's what happened here with, 11 secret police caught on camera. It took 6 years to get identified, and they're tampering with the evidence and falsifying police reports in a premeditated capital attempted murder, a cold-blooded killing is what it was, God saved my life and I survived, I bet they hate God. Okay, here, let's go here. I changed the HVAC filter every 3 months or so, which told me this Lego toy had been dropped recently and by somebody in my attic. I'd already suspected the people in the attic were meeting the truckers that were pulling up in the secluded trucking lane behind the Home Depot store 24/7. Of course, some of the truckers were unloading freight, but others would just park, stay about 30 minutes, and then drive off without unloading freight, and this would be happening when the store was closed and nobody was there. They were not manned at night back then. Home Depot wasn't manned 24/7. Now they are, and you don't see that now. Most of this stopped after I survived the murder attempt and started posting pictures and videos. 2 people at Home Depot told me that prostitution was going on behind there, which is right behind my house, and this child's toy made me suspect it was also child sex trafficking, the fastest growing crime in America. Okay, and I'm going to show you here. Basically, this is my hallway right outside my bedroom door, and at the top in the ceiling is where the filter for the HVAC filter mounts, and then on top of that is like a flexible tube that is the intake for the HVAC system, and so there's your filter, and then I'm just showing a close-up where there was a Lego toy on it, and so obviously, I change the filter every few months. It was obviously dropped recently. I'm hearing people in my attic, and that flex tube on the top, I knew they had been messing with it for whatever reason, and I know the insulation was off. Me and the ex-wife, we wired the insulation back on it. It come back off again, and so I knew they were messing with it, and so this is where, oh wow, that's a kid's toy. I'm like, there's children in the attic, and there was one time where I had guns here, and I had criminals breaking in my house, and I was tear gassing the attic, and I'm thinking, wow, it could have been kids, that's amazing. You're real possible, that's what it is. And so here, let me show you another one. The secluded trucking lane behind the Midland Home Depot store in my home was the perfect place for smuggling humans, drugs, etc. Due to its location, nobody could drive by and see back there. I would see lots of traffic back there on nights and holidays, but nobody else would. At the same time, I'm hearing people moving around my attic. On the night of the protective order hearing, there was a trucker parked behind my house all night. It got mentioned. It's in the transcript for that court case. I was talking about this right here. Is that I think they'd rigged my home and it was being used for sex trafficking, and that's why the people in the attic were going over and servicing or meeting the truckers, So I'm going to show you the 50,000 foot view here. This big store is the Home Depot. This is the Target in Midland, okay? And this is Midland Drive. Okay, so you're driving down Midland Drive, and here's behind Target, and then you got to turn and then come back here. So if you're driving by, you can't see behind Home Depot. Nobody can. And you can't see it on the other side too. So this whole trucking lane is secluded. Nobody can see back there. And of course the store wasn't manned, and so they come in here, and that's what I'm saying. I was seeing these truckers come in here 24/7. Sometimes they'd be lined up, Nobody's unloading freight, At the same time, I'm hearing people in my attic right here, and there's believed to be a tunnel that goes from here to over there to the back of the secluded truck unloading lane. 2 people at that store told me prostitution's going on. And, just like I said, it's the perfect place to smuggle humans, drugs, etc., And, of course, on the other side of Home Depot, I've showed this before, behind Home Depot, there was 2 side-by-side manholes. One of them had the lid off for several years, That's where I suspected, was connected back to my home via tunnel. And then in the next door neighbor's yard is a piece of leftover piece of tunnel pipe, is what I call it. It's sewer pipe, but it's sitting back there. I asked that neighbor about it, and my ex-husband that's no longer alive did it, and it was there before I moved here. I think it was rigged, and they were using this for sex trafficking due to the location. It's all about location, location, location. So they're like the 24/7 business. They're making a lot of money, but on top of that, there's also an underground home in the backyard. We don't want to forget that. Okay. I also suspected. I'm gonna show you here. The underground homes were used for organized prostitution, oil show parties, and even forced prostitution. Like the young girl at the oil show party Angie told me about, the little girl that was murdered because she didn't want to prostitute. And they were drugging them and forcing them to prostitute. I was told there were 4 3-bedroom homes buried at least 25 foot deep on a recorded phone call. It's on my YouTube. And based on evidence, easy to see that one of those is located in my backyard. Okay. And once again, here was one of my main map pictures is the Google Earth. You can do it right now. Go to Google Earth, go to 2011. You got to go back in time, and you'll see behind the Home Depot store where it looks like a tunnel ditch was cut coming out of Home Depot store aimed directly at my house. Okay, I mean directly. And then in the backyards where it's believed one of the underground homes is, because you'd go to Google Maps, put in my address, and in the backyard you would see a bunker on the map screen that you wouldn't see from above ground. That was recently deleted after I notified the city of Midland about it, and then I think that somebody in the city of Midland contacted Google and asked them to remove it because they were trying to cover up capital murders, and whoever did that needs to be investigated, arrested, charged, and sent to prison, okay, in my opinion. Okay, I was back here with Homeland Security, remember, because Homeland's supposed to take care of human trafficking, and I was, that's a forced prostitution, organized prostitution, etc. And they poured concrete back here, in 2019. And then the long list of people that are documented saying that tunnels, underground homes are here. Rhonda Denman Rogers, told me that there's an underground facility a half block away. I got a recorded phone call where the woman said there's 4 3-bedroom $1 million underground homes. Said they're having pedophile parties, and that also matches up with children. Pedophile parties does. Okay. Screenshot. Ricky Ronaldo said him and his brother used to live in my house. They used to go in the tunnels under my house. And law enforcement could talk to him. Phone call. Layla O'Brien, CAD programmer, said they were put in for the Bushes back in 1987. It was called the Safe House Project, on budget $7.35 million. I have recordings, screenshots of that. Okay. Phone call secretly recorded of sheriff candidate Joe Lozano during the election for Midland sheriff. He was running for sheriff, and I recorded him telling me that the underground homes here was the hideout for the late sheriff Gary Painter. Y'all can listen to that. It's on my YouTube channel. It was hidden from the public by our press and the police, though. And then, of course, on the night that I'm ambushed and shot, and when I finally get the police report 7 years later, that's when it timestamps 5 officers in or at my home that was not seen arriving on the security cameras. That's how we know they were under my home. Okay, that was Officers Davis, Dickey, Chadwell, Angel, and Hale. And it makes sense some other ones were too, like Woodward and Naylor. They just drove around front. They didn't come in from under my home. And then Angie, my friend from work, she's the one that told me about the young girl being murdered at the oil show party, leaving my home and at the party in 5 minutes. I believe she was driving from my home to the front of Home Depot, parking, going in this store, going underground, coming back in that tunnel right here, and going in the parties underground. I mean, that's where I think it is. Google Maps showed a large bunker in my backyard that can't be seen above ground. There it is, right there. And you're going to ask, so I believe somebody at the city of Midland had that deleted, the concrete being poured 2 weeks after I showed home land where I believe the human trafficking murder tunnel is, and then they poured concrete. Once again, somebody ought to be held accountable for that, And then I got a screenshot of a local guy here in Midland, Lance Eggleston. He says, we have access to your residence at all times. Nobody will ever believe your story of people under my house. You will be silenced, not if, but when. Well, of course, Lance knows too, and he's only one of many, many people with death threats, etc. So I just want to show you that it just makes sense that child sex trafficking was going on and there was children in the attic, and maybe connected to the recent bust. Okay. And here, my home and two others in this neighborhood all had the same weird mortar problem, which is believed to have been caused by digging under the home. The mortar is the concrete between the bricks, is what it is, and it was cracked, broke, and fallen out, or was what happened. And a contractor told me that's a foundation problem. Basically, they dug under the home and the foundation settled, and that's what broke the mortar joints. Okay. And so these homes identified that had the same mortar problem also have nearby water wells. For this reason, I suspect this may be where 3 of the 4 underground homes is located, and it makes sense they were also used for sex trafficking. Maybe children are in those attics too. Doesn't that make sense? Okay, we'll wait till this picture comes up. There it is. Okay, and once again, it's just a Google Earth picture. Here's the Home Depot store again. Here's my home. It's believed one of the underground homes is in my backyard. But remember, Rhonda Denman Rogers says there's an underground facility a half block away. Well, a half block away is the empty lot, a water well, and a home that had the same mortar problem my home did on Westmont Court. So I think maybe one of the other underground homes is there. And then here at 3800 Fairgreen Court, next to the Fairmont Park Church of Christ, once again, same mortar problem, has a water well. And a law enforcement officer told me to snoop around that church. I've made videos about that. That would be 3 of the 4 underground homes. And like I said, it just makes sense that the same thing happened in my house was also going on over there at them other houses, the other houses I was told about. And then that ain't all. Okay, I've now identified over 50 other homeowners reporting people in the attic since I was ambushed and shot while reporting burglar alarms going off in my attic. This includes a dozen addresses in Midland, another dozen in Odessa. I often hear about new addresses, so I believe this is the tip of the iceberg, with all of them connected with the same crimes of burglary, theft, rapes, and murders, but also suspected of sex trafficking and child sex trafficking. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the. This is an old spreadsheet here, and like I said, there was just this weekend, there was a woman sent me an address in Midland. I was doing the research, and when I say research, what I look at is I go look up and I see who the next door neighbors are, because I always suspect that here, and like them other homes, is they have a tunnel going from the victim's home over to the next door neighbor, and that's where the people in the attic, they can go there and go underground and come up and get in the attic of the victim's home. Okay, and then they can leave, so they can come and go out of the victim's home without ever being seen. So you can see these addresses here in Midland. A lot of them are from my police scanner, where I actually heard it on the police scanner, the dispatcher dispatching police because the owner reported some of the attic. The other thing that you see that's common is that they call all the crime victims, they label them crazy. Most of the time before they ever get there, without ever doing any investigation whatsoever. Now, I know the police have been called to my house multiple times, people in the attic. They've never gone up into my attic one time. And, even I had a Vivint alarm system installed in my attic. They still didn't go up in my attic, And here I've got a dozen addresses in Midland, another dozen in Odessa. And I believe if you get the police reports, they call called all of them crime victims crazy. And I think that's just the ones I found out about. I think there's more. And that's because there's a significant public corruption, police corruption problem that's supporting these crimes. Once again, of burglary, thefts, murders, rapes, etc. 2 women told me they were raped, after reporting people in the attic, And I've got a video coming up about that, about one of the women, and I've talked to her multiple times about it, just crying and upset. I'm 100%, convinced, and that's going on. And here it is. Let's just hope that's Homeland right there, HSI. Let's hope that they are actually, instead of pouring concrete to cover up these crimes, that they're actually finally starting to bust them and the people behind it, because we have to admit that we got some corrupt police that are involved. This is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.